Welcome to This Explainer. Man, I am absolutely thrilled you're tuning in today because you're about to look at something that is literally rewiring the business world from the ground up. We're going to break down how the whole foundation of retail is shifting. I'm talking about moving away from those slow, clunky supply chains of the past and jumping headfirst into this new era of high-velocity brand experiences. Like, if you've ever found yourself wondering how your online order somehow arrives before you've even closed the app, you are absolutely going to love what we uncover today. So, here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with the logistics paradigm shift, then hit Pillar 1, hybrid infrastructure, Pillar 2, data orchestration, Pillar 3, consumer centricity, and finally wrap up with driving future brand experience. Starting right off with Section 1, the logistics paradigm shift. Let's get into it. Now, for years, brands kind of just asked themselves, is logistics just a back-end cost? They totally treated it like a cost center. Relying on these fragmented, disconnected systems for warehousing, freight, and couriers, completely isolated from the actual customer experience. And hey, when online order volumes were tiny, that might have actually worked. But looking at our sources, it's super clear that this old model, it is completely breaking under modern demands. Think about it. Today, if you get the wrong item or your delivery is late, you don't blame the delivery driver, right? No, you blame the brand.
And that brings us to this massive shift. We're moving away from traditional supply chains that were essentially built to just sit still. You know the ones: warehouses pushed way out to the city outskirts, inventory piled deep, and restocking cycles that took literally days or weeks. Now, we're looking at a future-ready ecosystem where velocity is everything. In this new world, inventory is basically a live, perishable asset. If it's not moving in minutes, it really doesn't justify its place on the shelf. The last mile isn't just some cost center to optimize later on, it's practically the product itself and a huge driver of the overall brand experience.
Moving on to our second section, Pillar 1, hybrid infrastructure. Now, you may be thinking the future is all about going completely decentralized, right? Well, actually, our sources argue it's a hybrid model. On one hand, you've still got those massive centralized hubs. Those are absolutely crucial for providing scale, handling high volumes, and holding deep inventory. But on the flip side, we now have these hyper-local nodes. You've probably heard them called dark stores. These are sitting within a super tight, like 2 to 3 kilometer radius of consumers. They maintain live inventory and make extreme speed the default. It's really this perfect, delicate balance between massive scale and crazy fast velocity. And because of this speed-first approach, platforms like Blinkit and Zepto, they aren't even trying to stock everything everywhere. Instead, they're tightly packing their dark stores with a very specific, laser-focused target, just 2,000 to 4,000 carefully curated SKUs. Every single item in that store literally has to earn its place based on real-time demand from that specific neighborhood. What's flying off the shelves in one neighborhood might be completely phased out just a few kilometers away. So it's way less inventory, but it is so much smarter. And let me tell you, consumer expectations are entirely driving this massive scale. Just look at the quick commerce market in India. It's skyrocketed from $300 million in 2022 and is projected to hit an incredible $7.1 billion by fiscal year 2025. That's huge. Consumers aren't just comparing delivery times category by category anymore. They're comparing every single thing they buy to the fastest option out there. This phenomenal, almost wild growth is exactly what's forcing those old, traditional supply chains to compress. All right, let's look at Pillar 2. Data orchestration. Managing this kind of modern logistics means you need total 100% operational visibility. The whole industry is moving away from those old isolated shipping tools and heading straight toward connected intelligence. Take a unified API layer, like RS Cargo Plus mentioned in our sources. It essentially acts as a centralized brain. And it does something really fascinating. It actually stitches together massive government logistics datasets, like FastTag and the Unified Logistics Interface Platform, or ULIP. This lets enterprises track freight super deeply and monitor shipments in real time, even in those tricky regions where traditional GPS is totally spotty or just non-existent. Think about the last thing you ordered online. Well, behind the scenes, an AI engine like RapidShip's Ayomi is actively working its magic. It's constantly analyzing buyer behavior, checking address reliability, integrating all those live network signals we just talked about, and actively flagging high-risk orders. And the whole goal here? To prevent those incredibly costly return to origin or RTO losses before a delivery truck even leaves the warehouse. So it's actively intervening, not just passively tracking a package.
And honestly, the results of orchestrating data like this are staggering. By analyzing historical fulfillment data right alongside those live network signals, this predictive intelligence layer can actually achieve up to 98% predictive delivery accuracy. Now, that is not just some vanity metric to make a dashboard look good. That directly translates into recovered revenue and a massive reduction in those operational headaches that usually drag businesses down.
Which brings us right to Pillar 3, consumer centricity. The sources argue, and quite powerfully I might add, that we really need to stop thinking in terms of isolated channels and start thinking directly about the consumers themselves. Whether someone wants to grab a product at 10 a.m. during a traditional supermarket run or at 10 p.m. through a 10-minute dark store app, the brand experience has to be equally seamless. Having a commitment to omni-channel fulfillment that puts the consumer right at the dead center of every single logistical decision, that's no longer just some clever strategy. It's absolutely the baseline expectation today. What this means is that sustainable growth absolutely requires building a formidable presence across the entire omni-channel ecosystem. We're talking neighborhood kiranas, modern retail chains, e-commerce platforms, quick commerce apps, and direct-to-consumer sites, the whole shebang. The most successful brands out there won't just blindly chase whichever single channel happens to be growing the fastest this quarter. Instead, they're going to build this comprehensive network so they're present wherever and however the consumer decides to shop. And the reason this matters so intensely is because of a massive geographical shift in consumption. India's e-commerce market is hurtling toward a mind-blowing $250 billion valuation by 2030. But get this, the next massive wave of FMCG growth isn't just happening in the big metros. It's actually happening out in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities. This is exactly where rising aspirations and new digital access are literally forging entirely new consumption habits every single day. As Vikas Singhal notes, building for these new markets really requires patience. It's all about taking that agility and extreme speed of modern logistics that we were just geeking out over and combining it with long-term brand building. You've got to ensure consistent availability and get the pricing just right, because ultimately that is how enduring, decade-long consumer loyalty is won in these rapidly emerging markets. And finally, Section 5, driving future brand experience. So, when we pull all of this together, we're looking at 3 crystal clear prerequisites for high-velocity growth. First, hybrid infrastructure to give you both scale and speed. Second, data orchestration for that total operational visibility. And third, consumer centricity across a true omni-channel ecosystem. The brands that are going to absolutely dominate the coming decade will be the ones that view these 3 pillars not as an afterthought or, just a headache for the back-end warehouse team. They'll see them as the absolute prerequisite for sustainable, high-velocity growth. This quote from Raghav Singhal captures it perfectly. The businesses that come out on top will be the ones building their operations on infrastructure designed for scale right from day one. You just can't get away with patching together legacy systems anymore. You need a purpose-built foundation that handles complex, multimodal integrations completely seamlessly. So I want to leave you with this final provocative thought for our explainer today. In a world where supply chains are literally shaping product strategy in real time, like actually influencing packaging formats, SKU sizing, and consumption speed, you have to ask yourself a hard question. Which side of this equation is your business on? Does your supply chain dictate your product, or does your product dictate your supply chain? Because as logistics continues moving at the speed of a digital click, are you the one driving the velocity, or are you just trying to catch up? Thanks so much for exploring the future of logistics with me today. And hey, next time you get an instant delivery, think about the incredible systems running right behind the scenes.